We're now moving on to the technical skill part of things. Now, we in GistLens will always do a technical assessment of candidates, and we find it is essential to establish that they actually have the skill to do the job that they're applying for. It is a sad fact that in this industry, you'll find a lot of people who are willing to present that they can do something when actually they may not be able to do it. And this technical assessment is really what allows you to tell one person from the other, because even I can talk to someone and they're saying all the right things. They know all the words to say and they string them together in the right order. And they make you think that, oh, okay, this person actually has a lot of experience. I bet they're, really good at what they do, and I'd love to have you on the team. But then you give them what is effectively quite a simple test, and you realize this person cannot code their way out of a wet paper bag. It's not going to work. You need like actual skills to do this job. So technical assessment, I say 100% essential. You really have to do it. Now, what we tend to do is we have come up with a set of questions that anybody can answer. And we send the same set of questions to a junior, a mid, and a senior. But what we end up getting back from that is a very different type of answer, even though it's the same question. So to give you an example of what I mean by that, if you give a coding question, and when I talk about coding question, I'm not talking about asking people to work on your project for free. Okay, that's not what this is. This is more about a simple question that people can answer in code. So they're actually sending you code as an answer to some kind of, let's call it a trivialized problem. So it could be to code, the really classic one is the FizzBuzz, but we don't tend to use that one. That one's like overused now, but there are others similar to that you can get people to code something that requires them to think about some kind of algorithm or some kind of approach to be able to solve something, so that you can see that they can think logically and in a structured way, but also actually produce code so you can have a look at the code. Now, as a junior, juniors tend to be very excited when something compiles and gives you the right answer. So you tend to get juniors, that's kind of what they think of, and that's kind of what they submit. By mid-level developers they tend to think more in terms of not just, is it giving me the right answers? And, I'm happy that it compiles. It's more about, okay, well, I'm going to think about where this code is going to be used. And I'm going to start thinking about bounds checking. And I'm going to start thinking about maybe, adding some comments to the code so people can follow what I'm doing if necessary, that kind of thing. And by the time you reach senior, really, you're looking for something quite different. Seniors have been around for long enough to remember how hard it was to maintain some of the code that they wrote earlier in their career. And so what they tend to do is they tend to produce code that they know is going to be easy for themselves, but also for other developers to maintain down the track. And you can quite clearly see that in the code that they write. They're not trying to be fancy. They're not trying to show you how cool they are, and because they can write this entire function on a single, they're really trying to make it as easy as possible and as clear as possible for people to use it, to understand it, to maintain it. So quite a different approach. Ultimately, the results of this technical assessment will show you their coding style, their attention to detail, and their ability to think and reason through problems logically. Now, just before I move on from this one, we have had responses, like there's another way that this also filters people. We've sent these questions out to people. I have had one of our previous hiring rounds, one of our candidates write back and say, hey, I'm a senior. These questions seem too easy for me. Are you sure you've sent me the right questions? And we said, yes, these are the right questions. Please interpret these questions the best you can and send back your answers and we'll take a look at them. Well, the work that person turned in was the level of a junior, not of a senior. And so, that kind of differentiation between what you're looking for is something that you can really easily see and read in the code, start to look at the results. Now, yes, ultimately you will need another developer to be able to assess those results for you. However, there are online services that will do the whole testing thing for you. I know there's a whole bunch of them. We don't use them ourselves because we can assess it ourselves. But if you don't have that ability to assess it yourselves, then I'd say go and use one of those online services. They're not that expensive. You can send it out to the candidates. It will time them. It will grade them. It will show you even in real time how they put something together so you can get a better understanding of how they were thinking about things. So yeah, technical assessment, 100% needed in terms of hiring to make sure that you're getting someone that will actually be able to do the job.